Hi, this is John Bennett from Miami Neurosurgical TV. Today we have the pleasure of having Dr. Kian from China giving a presentation on cisternostomy. Welcome, Dr. Kian, and it's all yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jiang. Thank you, Professor Joha, and every doctor, every professor. I will shoot my user. This one. Can you see it?
Okay, we can see it. You want to make it bigger?
Okay, can I start it?
Very good. Thank you. Very good.
Hello, Dr. Jiang.
Oh, you're at the same computer? Oh, no. Okay. No, you want to make it bigger at the bottom. There's an option to make
Bigger,
the.
okay.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. You got it. You got it.
That's okay.
Hold on. Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, okay. Today I take a short PTDD and for the application of the cisternostomy in decompressed craniectomy. Because before the discussions, I know Professor Ipi from the IBOR professor understands this cisternostomy in the traumatic head injury, like the patient. So today I want using the application of the cisternostomy in decompression of the craniectomy. As we know, the decompressive craniectomy is very important in the traumatic head injury. It using the cranial stem injury, large area of the cerebral infraction, and the cerebral hemorrhage like this position. Sometimes maybe we must do the decompressive craniectomy bilaterally. And so this patient is our hospital stand 2 years ago. Other these patients, there's the two pupils that become large, and so we must do the bilateral DC. After that, the patient was saved, and 6 months later, and we go this plaster craniectomy. The outcome is this patient is good, but sometimes the DC has the complications, like this the post operations, the encephalitis and hydrocephalus and wound infection and the process bears the flow delays. This picture that I show using this some subdurers acknowledged here. So how to do the next steps and outcomes of the patient with the DC have not been changed the foundations. So how to do next time? And so we got this paper in the recent years. In terms of the replace of like the cherry MP from the, and I introduced the concept of Csf Shift Edema, like this in the trauma branch injury. So we know cisternostomy from Joha and the IP, and so a new suggests based on the basis of the current. Is the Decompressive Craniectomy series. This decouples of the grains, this series and promise our understanding of the circulations and follow up the cerebral stem field. So we want to try it in the clinics. How about the symptoms and that comes to together? Because as like we said, what I said before, maybe the DC has some complications. Sometimes the guidance is not as good outcome of the patient. So, and if we use the cisternostomy and to edit this DC, how do we do it? So we try it in the clinical application. This is cisternostomy after removing the hematoma. Like this patient, it has a large hematomas in the cranial. When we remove the large, and so we using a tube in here, and we can get the drainage of the CSF. This picture is from the intra operations. We can guide this. This means the hemorrhage in here. Because this optic nerve, we open it and light the hemorrhage is out. This other patient, he has a large arrow cerebral infraction and with hemorrhage. This patient must using the DC to save it. If not, this operation, maybe the patient is not good and not a good operation. So we're using the DC and with the cisternostomy to get it. This other picture is from the not clear because this is from the screen of the. But after that, and we have the short video here. This cranial injury, the DC with the cisternostomy. You can see the subdural hematomas, is the acute subdural hematoma, and the beauty is they have the dilated. So we usually say the DC to treat it. After that, we put a tube here and get the drainage of the CSF. This picture is clear. So we can see this is the optic nerve, and this is the right article, the ICA. So we can see this the secondary dural stent, the machi and hemorrhage here, and so we opened it there. The liquid now. Yeah, the short video is here. From the video, we can see it's many hemorrhage is in the subdural hematoma. Subdural. Yes, many CSF with the blood is here. Yes, from the video, you can see. Maybe there's a contusion and it is the obturar. We open the member, maybe there's CSF. And so lighter the CSF with the blood and out. We put the tumor is here or here. So we have primarily the data and from the clinic. And so the DC with the cisternostomy. We have the totals, the 21 patients and 10 patients with the cranial cerebral injury, 6 patients with a large area of the cerebral infraction, 5 patients with the cerebral hemorrhage. After that, this is the drainage time and the drainage volumes every day. We get a primary stage from here system. So the average drainage time is 5.1 days. The drainage volume is 165 the melt. The melt load. 6 months then we got the outcomes of the patient. The GOS the score. So we have primarily the conclusions that make the subdural subarachnoid and pressures cut down observably, improves the interstices, the fluid transfers to the subarachnoid. So the always the interstices, the edema on the brain the tissue. So and sometimes and it can control the intracranial presence because we have the ICPs monitors in the ICU. But this time I had to get the data of the ICP's data from the ICU. So maybe the next times that we can get this is from. Because control the intracranial pressure, I think using the CSF drainage and the cisternostomy is very good. This series is from the Johan because 2 years ago I got this series the first time from the Johan. Yeah, but we got after that and we try to using this technically studied in the clinical active and clinical speed to treat some patient. From the data, and I get a good results of this technology. So we get applications from our countries, and so we get import support from the government, and so we were using this money to do the research, maybe improve the research under the help of the Professor Johan. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
I think.
Go ahead, Dr. Gunn. Go ahead.
Yeah. Improve the metamorphosis of the brain tissue and promote the exercise of the metabolic disease. So the cisternostomy is a new kind of the surgical method. I think this the new kind of the surgical method is very good. We want to explain it to our country because in our country have the many patients with the traumatic brain injury. But I think maybe the strict randomized the controlled study is still necessary. So before like this, and this is only a clinical observation. So there's a randomized control study. I think must be addressed, and I still necessary. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, but thank you very much, Dr. Kian. Okay, we'll have the floor open for any. I'll just get you off the screen share there, Doc. Okay, there we go. Okay, for any comments or questions.
Hello, sir.
Go ahead, Mohammed. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for a beautiful presentation. Actually, this is a very new thing for us also here in Bangladesh. I have heard about this cisternostomy, but it is the first time I just seen the lecture from someone. I want to know about the in which case we do the cisternostomy with DC only, and which case we will do cisternostomy only. Okay. What is our selection criteria?
Okay. Dr. Kian? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah. Can you pardon it? Just maybe I didn't hear it clear.
Can I repeat, sir?
Yeah. What? Could you ask the question again, Mohammed, please?
Okay, sir.
Okay.
I want to know about the case selection. In which patient we will do DC with cisternostomy, and in which patient we will do cisternostomy only in case of TBI.
TBIs?
Cisternostomy only and cisternostomy with DC only. Which case? What is the selection criteria?
Which case? 中山？
Yeah.
我没听明白他说是哪个病人。
他意思说你这个cisternostomy 是在什么情况下使用？和 DC 就联合使用，就是说联合使用的情况是在哪些情况下，或者是只使用这个
Which patient？ 他说是哪一个？我以为他是哪个病人？对。OK。
就是怎么选择这个方法？
Okay, doctor. Because as what I said before, and sometimes then we using the DC, only using the DC for the large cranials and the intracranial cerebral states, brain injury. Sometimes then we only using the DC. But we want to know how about this cisternostomy is the using center for this patient. So every from that times and within every times and when we get the patients need to do the DC and with the system, we will use the DC. We will use the systems and with the DC. Everybody, maybe it's every patient. Can you understand me?
Yeah, yeah,
Dr.
yeah. Understand, sir. Yes, sir.
Because
And,
because in
yes.
our hospitals and we have the many the group of the treatment, but my groups and will do using this method to treat this patient. But maybe the other doctors, other groups and didn't using this method.
Okay, sir.
Can you understand?
And, yes, sir. Yes, I understand the point, sir.
Yeah.
Can I ask the next question, sir?
Sure.
Yeah, how will you manage the cisternostomy tube? That means how we manage this tube?
Yes, we will use the ventricular tube, ventricular drainage tube.
Yeah. You keep it for 7 days or 14 days? How much you keep this drainage tube post-operatively?
How
far you use this cisternostomy tube post-operatively? 7 days, 14 days, or how many days?
Maybe yes, almost 1 week. 7 days. Just we have a table is that, and the average time is 5.1 days.
Okay. Do you use ICP monitor with this cisternostomy tube?
What's me?
Do you use ICP monitor? ICP monitor
Oh,
with
yes,
this cisternostomy tube?
Yeah. Sometimes we use the ICP monitors, ICP tube. Using this ICP tube, do you know ICP monitor tubes, and he can get the ICP monitor, and sometimes he using the tubes and to drainage the CSF. Do you understand? Yeah.
Okay, we have a question from Spain, Luis Ibor Lopez. Go ahead, Luis.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Professor Kian. I have some question because it's very interesting your paper. The question is, when you are develop the cisternography, you change the metabolism in CCF. Okay, you modify this metabolism. My question is, what do you think about the craniectomy after stroke, malignant ischemia, and do you think is preferable or to use also the cisternotomy to change the evolution of the malignant angiosperm evolution? What do you think about craniectomy and cisternotomy after a malignant stroke in middle cerebral artery?
我还是没听明白中。
是大概他教的意思说，这个方法能不能用到那种中风之后的还有一些就是其他疾病这些疾病的情况下，能不能使用？我听的是这个意思。
哦，中风之后吗？他说的是中风之后是吧？
缺血性的 chemical 缺血性的疾病造成这种就这类疾病能不能用这个方法？怎么？
Okay.
Hello, guys.
Yes. There's Ike. Go ahead, Ike. Dr. Kian just presented on cisternostomy.
Yeah, doctor.
Hello, Dr. Kian.
Yeah. Because I think the cisternostomy is based on the gland lymphocyte circulation theory. The gland lymphatic, maybe exactly say. The gland lymphatic circulation theories. I see the papers recently and they discovered the swelling after the stroke. The swelling of the strokes is because of the gland circulations. And so I think using this cisternostomy can control the ICP of this and decrease the swelling after the stroke. So I can using it because just now and I get this report of several case and we're using the large arrows, the ischemic. Like this patient, we're using like the, after the DC and using the cisternostomy standard treat it. As a according to the research, and we think this good and for this patient.
Okay, is Juha there?
No, I don't know. I think you have stepped away.
Yeah, sorry, for Yuha just left. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, yes.
Yeah, I wanted to answer that question. So you see, now we're understanding more and more about cisternostomy. So the first thing that we have to know about is that the brain is suspended in a large collection, 150 ml of CSF. Now the CSF is used for two things. Not to suspend the brain as we think. It is used to cool and to clean. To cool, how cooling? Because of our sinuses. Our sinuses are lined with wet mucosa. And when we breathe, this wet mucosa gives off water, evaporate. They evaporate. And thus, the latent heat of evaporation is given up. It is just the same principle of a water-cooled radiator or a fridge or an air conditioner. It's the same principle. So because the latent heat of evaporation is given away from the sinuses are cooled. This is data that you can confirm on any MR thermometry or anything. This 2.5 degree cooler. The sinuses are 2.5 degree cooler. And you must know that the CSF, the suprasellar cistern CSF, is in the middle of all the sinuses. It's interesting. So this collection of CSF, suprasellar cistern, this is from where all the vessels go into the brain. Now the vessels have spaces around them. And when the vessels pulsate, this CSF goes into the brain. And these pathways are called perivascular pathways. The CSF is pumped through these perivascular pathways by the pulsation of these vessels. It's so interesting. So the cool CSF is pumped into the brain, and this is how the brain cools. And in the night, these perivascular pathways also starts opening up to the ISF, interstitial fluid of the brain. And this is by aquaporin 4 channels. I'm making it very simple. It's not as simple as this. But aquaporin 4 channels open up in the night, and the CSF mixes with the ISF, taking lactate, chloride, and all the other metabolites during sleep. So the CSF does two things. One is cleaning and cooling. Cooling happens all the time. Cleaning happens only in the night or during sleep. Now, when there is subarachnoid hemorrhage into the cisterns, the pressure inside the cisterns increases. And the only thing that can displace into the perivascular chambers is CSF, because these perivascular spaces are too small to accommodate red blood cells or anything else. So the CSF shifts into the brain, and the cisterns are full of blood. This is what happens in bad grade aneurysms or trauma. This is what happens. So this edema, where the CSF shifts into the brain, it is called CSF Shift Edema. So you see, other than cisternostomy, we also described CSF Shift Edema. We also described how the brain is cooled and cleaned. This is amazing, the CSF. So we collaborated with Nedagard, Clarika, Wang, and our other friends from Bulgaria like Nikolai, Goi, and Professor Kato, and all these friends, and we understood tremendous things about opening cisterns. I was in Turkey last 2 years before, and I was with Yasagil, and Professor Yasagil was so, I mean, he was like a child when he heard about this, and he told me so many things which were so significant. You see how all this is connected? Now, when you have brain swelling because the CSF, imagine a 2-liter Pepsi bottle, a 2-liter bottle. Try putting in 150 ml, 100 ml, take a syringe of 100 ml and try to put 100 ml into the Pepsi bottle. Do you know how much pressure it will cause? Tremendous pressure. That is exactly what happens in the brain. The brain is 1.5 liters. You're trying to put 100 to 125 ml into this 1500 ml of brain. The pressure goes up so much. So the pressure goes up so much. And if you try to open a large window there, what will happen? The whole window, the brain will bulge up through the craniectomy. And how much is the volume that will bulge up? Easy to calculate, because the decompressive hemicraniectomy is about 12 to 13 centimeter, is about 8 centimeter, and is about 1 to 1.5 centimeter, exactly about 100 to 125 ml. That is the amount of brain that will bulge out. So do you want to do this, or do you want to open the cisterns from the skull base, reversing the CSF shift edema, and not causing this bulge? This is the question. Now, I understand that decompressive hemicraniectomy is very easy. If you look at just ICP and not intraparenchymal pressure, this may seem right, but you must understand, ICP is a very loose term. Imagine what is the ICP in a EDH, very high, doesn't really matter. But in a subdural hematoma, the intraparenchymal pressure is high because of CSF shift edema. That is what is the problem. And if you do decompressive, all the axonal tracts, everything is displaced. And you have a mutilated brain at the end. You decreased ICP. You probably restored some cerebral perfusion pressure, yes. But you have a mutilated brain on one side. It shrinks to 30% of its original volume. That is why after decompressive hemicraniectomy, you have almost 70% of brain volume is lost. So this is why you have to follow science, and you have to follow, this is a very tough surgery. Cisternostomy is not easy. So you are using skull-based techniques to get into the base of the brain. It's a tight brain, and then open right above the optic nerve into the optic-carotid triangle to let out the blood first. First, you must remember this space is full of blood. So you must be able to let out the blood first and then the CSF. And this will reverse the edema. And this is what you want to do. And this is cisternostomy. And my consultants, I see Prakash here, my consultants, Pramod, Prakash, Sunil, Binod, all of them have been doing. There's so many of them from India who's been doing it. I see a lot of young neurosurgeons from China and all around the world doing it. So I'm very happy that when I started 10 years back, I had to face a lot of criticism. We didn't know how this thing was working, but yet now things are changing so rapidly, and I'm happy that I am talking in such a conference. So thank you, Quen.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, more comments, questions from the panel on either Dr.
sir,
Kian's? Go ahead.
Yeah, can I ask IPcharian, sir, regarding
Sure,
this?
sure,
My question?
sure.
If there is no subarachnoid hemorrhage in case of traumatic brain injury, should we do it?
One more time, Mohammed, try again, please.
If there is no subarachnoid hemorrhage in the suprasellar cistern, should we do the cisternostomy or not?
You must understand one thing, that the most common thing in every single trauma is subarachnoid hemorrhage. But in the subarachnoid hemorrhage in trauma, you will not really see suprasellar cistern subarachnoid hemorrhage. I have many times you don't see any subarachnoid hemorrhage in suprasellar cistern like in aneurysms. Why? Because all the CSF is gone into the cisterns. It is unlike the subarachnoid hemorrhage seen in an aneurysm, because in the aneurysm, when the aneurysm ruptures, the CPP, the ICP becomes equal to the mean arterial pressure in less than 5 seconds. And therefore, the bleeding stops and the pressure normalizes back, and you see that you still see the cisterns and you see the blood in the cisterns. But in trauma, these are capillary bleeds which are going on, and you see all the CSF from the cisterns displaced and the brain swollen. So you really don't see much of a subarachnoid hemorrhage in trauma. But when you open, you will see just as much of blood as in, a subarachnoid hemorrhage. Not clots, but there will be a lot of blood. I'm sure anybody who's doing decompressive will tell you how much blood there is in the in a subdural, acute subdural hemorrhage or any other traumatic bleed. The most common component is subarachnoid hemorrhage. So when you ask me whether we should do cisternostomy if you don't see subarachnoid hemorrhage, I would tell you, open up and you will see subarachnoid hemorrhage, and then go open your cisterns.
Thank you, sir.
My question to Professor I. Hello, sir. It was a fantastic explanation regarding
Could you please
cisternostomy.
introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi. I'm a resident from Mumbai, India, Dr. Rishabh. It was an honor listening to Professor Ipe. I've spoken to him a couple of months back too. My question was, would you recommend a cisternostomy in malignant edema, but none of the features of subdural hemorrhage or subarachnoid hemorrhage? Probably in cases of diffuse axonal injury, has it shown to benefit the patients?
Now, Rishabh, you must know that diffuse axonal injury is a very loose term again. All these concepts in trauma which are age-old must go. My friend from Calgary, Dr. Garnet Sutherland, he did a experiment. If you increase the lactate level in the brain, just increase the lactate level in the brain for 2 days and you will see all the changes in diffuse axonal injury happening in the brain. This is called the lactate storm. So all this theory of axonal balls and all this is gone now.
Okay.
So diffuse axonal injury is a wrong terminology. I'm sure people will not accept it immediately, but Garnet has clearly shown them what is a lactate storm and what a lactate storm can produce. So, in my center, my consultants, if they are there, they will tell you every malignant brain swelling except when there is ischemia. If there is ischemia, cisternostomy will not work because the edema has become cytotoxic. But otherwise, every single brain swelling will go down, including aneurysmal brain swelling. You have a bad grade aneurysm, ruptures, and there's severe brain swelling. The first thing we do is open the cistern. If we have a very bad brain swelling from trauma, no midline shift chest brain swelling, the first thing we do is open cisterns. Okay.
And
Now it's not as elegant as in a usual aneurysm. You may have to pull and push a little bit. You may even have to sacrifice a little bit of basic frontal lobe. Now people tell me, oh, you shouldn't sacrifice the brain, but it's better to sacrifice a little bit of basic frontal lobe than to sacrifice the entire patient. So it is a leap of faith. It's not easy for everybody to, go into the base of a bulging brain, but believe me, there is the answer. Go into the base and you will find your answer there. I mean, you see the optic nerve, you start washing out the blood. You see the carotid, you start washing out the blood. I'm telling you, very soon you will have a manageable brain. And once you open the membrane of Lilliquist, through the opticocarotid or the lateral carotid window, you'll have a completely lax brain, and you wouldn't see the reason of why you should put the bone flap out. Most of the time, my consultants have started putting the bone flap back. I mean, we've done this for 10 years and we know now where it cannot be done and where it can be done. Less than 2% where you have to keep the bone flap out. 98% of cases, whenever I see decompressives being done on Facebook or other consultants doing it, I wish that they see my perspective, because everybody has the right to their own perspective, and we all have perspectives because of what we believe. But I hope you guys put microsurgery into all this so-called myth of malignant brain swelling, and then you will see 98% of it is just to frighten you. It's like they are like ghosts with white clothes on. You take the white cloth off, there'll be nothing.
So in such cases, sir, do you go removing the whole bone flap and doing a cisternostomy, or just the supraorbital incision going in through the base of skull?
I have stopped doing supraorbital altogether.
All right.
Earlier I have done it. I think I can only say mea culpa for it, because I always complicate things, There's no need. You make a large flap, you do a lot of bone work, nothing complicated, no posterior clinoidectomy, okay? There's no need for it.
Okay.
Most often, no anterior clinoidectomy also, except the lateral part. It'll be good if you cut the orbitomeningeal band, because if you cut the orbitomeningeal band, your frontal temporal connection will free up, and you can get easily into the cisterns much easier. You don't need an axial unlocking, that is transcavernous dissection. You don't need anterior clinoidectomy. In most cases, you don't need. We're talking about grade 3 cisternostomy, where you need all the peeling and anterior clinoidectomy. But again, most of the cisternostomies can be done without all this. Just remove much of skull base and then go underneath the frontal lobe. The orbital roof will be your guide. Retract the frontal lobe and you will see the optic nerve.
No.
And you put in a suction to the optic nerve without damaging any of the perforators. Irrigate, open. When you apply the retraction itself, this arachnoid will open, because the arachnoid is stuck to the optic nerve, and the arachnoid continues on the frontal lobe. So when you retract that frontal lobe, the arachnoid will open. That's enough.
Okay.
Irrigate, put suction, wait for the bleeding to abate. That's enough.
And no need to put any tubes, as Professor Kian was mentioning in his previous
Of course, you have to put the tube. I mean, for the last 10 years, we are putting feeding tube number 8.
Okay.
If you have to put the tube, because if you don't put the tube, there is a tendency for rebound swelling. So you have to put the tube, but it's again very important. We learned a lot of lessons over years. Over drainage is one big problem. So if you have to put the drain at the bed level for the first night. And after that, you have to increase it to 15 centimeter. If you don't do that, this patient will deteriorate because of over drainage. It's very, very important. So the first day you should keep it at bed level, and then the second, third day onwards, 15 centimeter height. And then that is it, five days and you can take it out.
And is there any necessity of flushing it if there is any blockage, or if you find nothing at all?
You will not have any blockade because this tube is in the prepontine cistern. Very, very unlikely there is a clot in the prepontine cistern. And very, very unlikely, because on one side is the pons and its arachnoid, it will not collapse. And one side is the clivus. So there is no way that will collapse. It will keep on draining. And because of your cisternostomy, you have made all those cisternal cavities into one. So it will keep draining about 180 to 200 ml every day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor.
You're welcome.
Sir, can I ask you a question, sir?
Of course.
Yes.
Go ahead.
How many cisterns we have to open there in the in the basal area, and what should be the tip of the our catheter?
Yeah, so you're opening the interoptic cistern, the opticocarotid cistern, the lateral carotid cistern, and through either the opticocarotid or lateral carotid cistern, you're opening the membrane of Lilliquist, thus going into the prepontine cistern as well. So these are the number of cisterns you open. Sometimes you can even go to the contralateral opticocarotid cistern as well, but you should put your catheter between the optic nerve and the carotid. And once you've opened the membrane of Lilliquist, you are in the prepontine cistern. You can see the basilar. So you put your catheter into the prepontine cistern through the opticocarotid cistern, opticocarotid window, and then that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Is Prakash around?
Can I have a question?
Go ahead.
Yes. My question is that I think that with so huge brain edema that the patient have, that isn't a possible cisternostomy. Only that the Professor Kian, he know that optic nerve and carotid and the cisterns of the paracellular area. My question is that this view only we can have this view after lobectomy, after temporal lobectomy, we will have this view. This is my first question. So this is not possible for us for the cisternostomy. We must consider this surgery as a lobectomy and after that cisternostomy. Another question that I have proposed, and you maybe this is problem for you. I propose that is possible we consider lumbar drainage for the patient, and we consider that after the craniectomy, especially bilateral craniectomy, that will be decrease the risk of on-call herniation. So we consider every day CSF drainage by LP, or we consider lumbar drainage and check it for the gradually and little by little and a small drainage of the CSF, so we can decrease the mass, the level of the CSF. This is my purpose and also question from you.
Yeah, thank you. I understand your perspective. I can tell you that if there is no contusion in the temporal lobe or in the frontal lobe, a lobectomy is unnecessary. I understand that in severe swellings, the brain will start leaking out. I can show you a few videos, and these are on the YouTube. You can see them that the moment I start my dural, I put my dural incision, the brain will start leaking out. Okay? But yes, you put your retractor, guide your retractor along the orbital roof with the brain leaking out, you will reach the cistern. In 2.5 centimeter after the bone work is done, less than 2.5 centimeter, that is this much distance, you will reach the opticocarotid cistern. And after you reach the cistern, this is a completely different story. It is like going through machine gun fire in the first part. And if you haven't done this before, it's crazy. Believe me, it's crazy. So it will happen, But after you reach the cisterns, you will have a very, very lax brain. Maybe I can share these videos. Let me find these videos. I can share these videos. Number one. Number two, LP is a very good option, and this was done before as well. If you see the studies, there were many studies where they have done craniectomy with LPs. But after I do the cisternostomy, I have the cisternal drain functioning, and it's always draining more than 180 to 200 ml. So I really don't need to do this. So that is from my perspective. So I hope I answered both your questions.
Yes.
Okay, more comments, questions for Dr. Kian, or cisternostomy in general? Now's your chance.
I'm going to do a talk on cisternostomy on Neurosurgery TV and Neurosurgery Coach, maybe in the next coming week. And maybe we will show many videos and of very, very bad brain swellings. And also we will talk about the theory of it much more in a detailed fashion. I hope all of these participants are then there.
Very good, very good. Victor, you want to say hello to Ike?
Hey, Victor.
No, congrats, congrats to Dr. Ken also, and all of you. I'm very happy to see all of you. Thank you.
Do you know Luis Ibor Lopez wanted to give a talk on experience in spinal AVMS, classification and treatment. He was one of the panelists, but maybe he'll give that next week if we can get him to.
Okay. My regards to Yuha and my regards to Dr. Quen. So, my friends Victor and everybody who's been on this talk. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you, Ivy. Thank you, Professor Ivy. Just notice that what you said is very, very clear. Yes,
Okay.
you have an understanding for this series.
Very good.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dr. Kian, for the presentation and putting everything together. And
Thank you,
so,
Dr.
okay, we'll see you next week in the China Neurosurgery Grand Rounds. Thanks, everybody, for coming.